talk about the whole scheme of how eggs are, the price of eggs, all of the stuff over the last couple of years with all these poultry disasters, these fires, arson, whatever you want to call it, on purpose, not whatever your view is on that. Nonetheless, it's getting tough to get eggs at a decent rate, decent price. The same with chicken. The price of chicken has gone up tremendously. So I just want to get people, if anyone's interested in this, anyone wants to be involved in this, I think it's great, and I wouldn't think about it anymore. I would just start doing it. I believe there's some people who live on an acre, live on half an acre, live on 3/4 of an acre, and they have chickens. So it's not like you need a whole ton of room, a whole ton of stuff. You just need to teach yourself and learn and read about it and get involved with it. Anyways, I never saw myself owning chickens. It was never a desire. It was never a want. This was just something that's like, well, food's at the grocery store. We did gardens. We've done gardens for, probably over 15, 20, over 20 years. We've done gardens. But meat, that kind of stuff, eggs, you go to the grocery store and get that. That was always my thought. It was like no big deal. My wife wanted chickens. She's always said she wanted chickens. Well, we came about it. One of her friends, they had an issue with where they were living and neighbors and whatever. Long story short, they had to get rid of their chickens and their coop. So my wife was like, well, we'll take them away from you. We'll take them off your hands. So we ended up paying them for the coop and the chickens. They helped get it moved over to a house and stuff and all that stuff, and that's how it went. So that was the first time I ever had any involvement in it. The chickens, I believe, were 1 year old at the time, so they're relatively newer, and I had no idea what I was doing. And we have German Shepherds, so we had to accumulate them and get them used to each other. That wasn't a big deal. I don't know about other breeds. I'm sure if Huskies or stuff like that, you might have more of a challenge with it, but anyways, so we got that. And then we lived there. Where we lived was Minnesota for a long time, but we had them in the winters. And Minnesota, 7 months of the winter, I mean, the 7 winter months that they have, it's brutal, and especially 3 or 4 of them at times can be brutal. When you got below zero weather, not one time here and there. It's just that's what they have for the most part, and ice and snow and all that stuff. And the chickens were fine. I mean, they fended for themselves, and we let them free range. Then, in the winter they didn't do it very much, but in the spring and summer they free ranged and all that stuff. And then they went back to the run, back to the coop when it got dark, and then we just had to go out there and close the door because they put themselves away, put themselves to bed. So then later on we moved out of state. We moved to a warmer place. Now we have some of the same chickens, plus a whole bunch more, and they're down here, and we have hot summers. I mean, hot summers versus with that in Minnesota, and the winters here, it's nothing like Minnesota. It maybe snow one day and it's gone the next, if that. You'll have years without snow at all. But anyways, and they fend fine. So they've got transitioned. There hasn't been an issue. So I'm just saying that. And now when we got more chickens, we got a second coop that we bought a shed from a farmer around here, a large shed, and we converted that into a coop, and that worked out great. We added some nesting boxes to it. We added a thing for them to perch, that kind of stuff on the inside. Then we got a run that we attached to it. We used an old dog kennel, a larger dog kennel, not a crate. We're talking a 10 by 10 dog kennel, fenced dog kennel that we used for the run, that kind of stuff. And that's how we put that together, and that's been great. It's nice and warm in there if it needs to be, and and added a vent to it and some other stuff. And then that was our layers. We had the one coop that we had got from my wife's friend. We got the other coop that we bought and converted a shed into. And then last year, I ordered some poultry chickens. So we didn't have a coop, so we threw together a coop. We used 4x6s, and then we used cattle panels to arch it. So we got our 4x6s framed, it's like, and then cattle panels that arch over it, and then one in the back side, and then we cut another one in the front side, and transition, that's the door. So we hinged that, so that just opens and closes, and then we used a tarp to cover most of it, keep wind out and that kind of stuff, elements, and that's worked out great for the poultry chickens. That's a poultry chicken coop there. So now, just recently, because we found out one of our layers hatched a chick and has been brooding. It's laying on a bunch of eggs that are fertile, that are ready, that are hopefully we'll have more chicks. We need to find another coop, so we went to Craigslist, I believe it was, or Marketplace, one of the two, and we found another local person, and we bought another kind of coop that was thrown together that has wheels on it, and we can just, it's large, and so we put the poultry chickens there. We put the mom hen into the cattle panel makeshift coop with her eggs, so she can be by herself, and then we kept the other layers in the other two coops. So that's, it's just, once you're doing it, you're doing it. It's just happening. I guess the biggest things that I can probably say is so out of all our chickens, we got over 50. 2/3 of our chickens are layers. 1/3 is for poultry. 1/3 we're gonna, eat. And once they're gone, we're just gonna have to replenish them, depending on what we end up with, how it goes. This will be our first time really doing that for ourselves. So what you need to start, you can probably even do this, just get 4 chickens. I know if you order online, I think there's a minimum of 8 or 12 or whatever you're ordering from, and then they come to your post office, and it's pretty harmless. We did that too. Or if you go to a farmer's market or a Tractor Supply or a place like that, then you can, sometimes they say, well, you have to buy 4 of them. Well, okay, you have to buy 4 at a time. Well, 4 at a time, that's fine if you're just starting out. And you could use a small coop, just something for a small run, and then you can let them free range if you want, and we do. They walk all over all our acreage here, and then they put themselves, when it gets dark, they put themselves up in the coops. And all you have to do is go out there after it's dark and close the coops up. With that, I know there's predators, there's fear of, that kind of stuff, but we have 3 German Shepherds. I don't know if that's the reason why, but we hear coyotes, a lot of coyotes, every night for the most part, and they're loud, and we've never had an issue with them, but I know our German Shepherds are around all the time. They're house dogs, those animals, but they're outside a lot of the time. So maybe that deters, predators, because besides just coyotes, there's other predators too around him. We've had an issue with one over the years, one of them that we know went to a predator. And we're not talking neighbor dogs and that kind of stuff, we're just talking other, wild predators. So with that, just small coop, and you can make it, you figure it out. It's easy. There's places online that can throw together a quick chicken coop or build a quick chicken coop or that kind of stuff. You can use anything for a run, that's like a kennel, a fenced type thing if you want. And they will, for the most part, go back we used Jersey Giants for our poultry birds because they're slower growing. They get a little larger, and I didn't want those standard Cornish cross, which anytime you're buying chicken in the store, pretty much it's Cornish cross. But they get so big so fast, and then they have issues, leg issues, that kind of stuff, and I just think something's wrong. There's something genetically wrong with them, in my opinion. Maybe not. It's just me. So I opted for the Jersey Giants. They're a little slower to go, and Jersey Giants also can lay eggs too, and we're getting a bunch of eggs from the Jersey Giants too right now. Container for water, so whatever works. I mean, one of our chickens drink out of I think it's a 1.5 gallon or 3 gallon water dish if it's laying around that the dogs would drink out of. They'll be drinking out of that. Or they got their water dishes, the ones that that have the water thing that's upside down, and around the edges it's the water, and then it just sort of sleeps out. We also made stuff like that for food and water dishes with a 5 gallon pail and an oil pan, plastic oil pan. You just have to drill holes in it, and then you can just makeshift it yourself. And that's something else we made, and that worked out great. It was large, and it was cheaper, and it feels more durable than the ones that are pre-made that you buy. You probably want a heat lamp come the winter months, or if you're somewhere where there's no winter at all, you might not have to, but if you're getting chicks, little chicks, like day-old chicks, it's best to have them in the heat lamp because they don't have a mom there for a while, and let them sit under the heat lamp for a while until they get a little larger. So I would look at a heat lamp. It's the red light is what you want. You can use one of those trouble light looking things, the silver trouble light looking things that you just screw the bulb into, and you can go get a red heat lamp bulb. I think they have them for iguanas too, but chickens, that kind of stuff, it's red heat lamp. You might want to look into options for your feed. If you're going to give them feed too besides free range, or if you just want to feed and not free range and leave them stuck in the run, that's fine too. If the run's large enough and you don't have the room, I understand that too. Maybe you don't want that because they're going to put the coop right next to the road. So just make sure they get good feed and plenty of it. And there's different feeds for layers, different feeds for poultry, feeds for starters. It's a starting feed that's for young ones, just little chicks. And then as they get older, you get the layer feed. They have little options of that. Just do a little digging and ask questions. Also optional scratch. It's just a mix of, you can go buy chicken scratch. It's a mix of some shells, some other stuff with it, and they devour that because it's something different. And also mealworms, those dried like mealworm looking things. They like those too. Those for some sort of treat, especially if they're not free ranging, because they only have the option what's in their run. With having that, the makeshift one we did with the 6x4 boards and the cattle panels. What was nice with that, especially at the poultry chickens, because we didn't let them out for a couple months because we weren't sure if they were going to stick around. Maybe it was a month and a half, 6 weeks. We weren't sure how they were going to act, so we didn't have them next to the other ones at the time, the other coops. So we left them in there. Well, they just devoured up the grass and the ground that was there, because they were stuck in there for so long and we had so many of them. Then it was easy enough for us just to take the anchors out of it, and just slide it down into another pad, and then, set them up there. So then they had fresh ground there for them to eat and survive on. And we also gave them feed too, but that was just nice because they do enjoy that, the stuff from the grounds, the bugs and that kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm just saying this because we know how ridiculous things are with, inflation and all this stuff, and especially chickens right now. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what we've done. And coming from someone who had no plans to do this, no desire to do this, I don't want to go back and not have it done. I wouldn't choose to not have it. Now, since then, we have cows, and now we're talking to get a donkey, and we're talking about some lambs and sheep, and even rabbits. So it's work, and it's learning, but it is something to do that you provide, and it's security. Anyways, I hope you get some of those. Thanks for watching. If you like this, like, share, subscribe. As always, stay vigilant for yourself.